Hey everybody, we're going to talk about section 7.4 ellipses in this video. Mostly the anatomy, and just introduce you to the basic features of the ellipse. The ellipse actually starts out as a circle. As we can see here, it's a circle with a center C and a radius R. And then what happens is we take that center and we actually get a little bit double vision here, and we stretch it in two directions. So we take the center and we push it out in both directions, and what happens is we start to get this elongated circle in a certain direction, or an ellipse. Now you can see here that this is like a circle, but it is longer in one direction than the other direction. This is known as the major axis. It is the longer of the two. And this axis in blue is known as the minor axis. And these points here are known as the foci, that is focus plural. So foci, that's focus, the focus, plural. And we note that if we stretch it in the vertical direction, the major axis is still the longer axis. So still the major axis, even though now it's in the y direction, and still the minor axis, even though it is in the x direction. So the major axis, major always being the longer of the two directions. Some of the other features include like what we have in a parabola. Here we have vertices as well. So these endpoints, the endpoints of the major axis, the endpoints of just the major axis, not the minor axis. The endpoints of the major axis are the vertices of the ellipse, and this point in the middle is still known as the center. Now, a couple of other features or values that we're going to be using. If this is centered at the XY axis, so if I have, let me get a different color here. If I have the XY axis running along the middle here, X, Y, we're going to give this point a name. The vertex is going to be the point A, comma 0. So that means that this horizontal distance from the center to the vertex is length A. That would make this point here negative A0. We'll call the uppermost point 0B. That makes the half length of the minor axis a length of B, which then makes this point down here at the bottom 0, negative B. This is all for reference. And then there's one more distance that we want to talk about, and I'll highlight it here. And that is the distance from the center of the ellipse to the focus. And we're going to call that length C. So A is length from center to the edge of the horizontal axis. B is the length from the center to the edge of the vertical axis, and C is the distance between the center and either focus. So those are the main features. We get the one small thing here is we need to be careful about confusing C, the distance from the center to the focus, with the letter C that we use up here for the center. Here, C is H comma K. Here, Excuse me. C is the distance. Oh, excuse me. Again, C is the distance between the center and either focus. So this is the point. Excuse me. Let's make sure that's not going to happen again before I start talking. C is the distance between the center and either focus. So that makes this point here negative C comma 0 and this point C comma 0. So watch out for that. And those are the basic features. One other thing that we're going to be using to help us construct this is going to be what I call the box. And that is the rectangular box that surrounds this ellipse and is tangent at the extreme points. Here is the enclosing box with the vertex. And that's also directly related to these same values. This length is B, this length is B, this length is A, this length is A. And so the total distance from side to side here is 2A, and the total distance from top to bottom is 2B. And those are the major features or main features that we're going to be focusing on. We're going to talk a little bit more about an attribute that we assign to the ellipse in the next couple of videos, and it is known as the value E. So later we will assign a value of E to the ellipse, where E is a measure of how elliptical, or the eccentricity, a certain ellipse is. Anyway, those are the things that we're going to be focusing on in the next video.